A Hollywood icon, a movie star millions admired, and a disappearance that left people asking questions. If you've ever seen Pretty Woman, then you know Richard Gere, the man whose look said more than words ever could, with a smile that always felt natural and a calm presence that could take over an entire scene. For more than 30 years, he became the picture of class, on screen and off. Then, while Hollywood still wanted him, Richard Gere suddenly stepped away. He passed on major movies, stopped showing up on red carpets, and slowly disappeared from the spotlight. Why? What made someone at the peak of success walk away from what so many people dream about? Was it one speech that reportedly kept him away from the Oscars for years? Was it the pattern of unforgettable romances that always seemed to end with quiet farewells? Or was there something much deeper, something that made him feel like he never truly fit into that world? Then came another surprise. The woman who changed Richard Gere's life came from a background few people expected. This is the story of a man who spent years trying to stay true to himself, even when the price was incredibly high. Richard Tiffany Gere was born on the 31st of August, 1949, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the second of 5 children. His father, Homer Gere, worked as an insurance salesman, while his mother, Doris, cared for the family. When he was young, they moved to upstate New York, where he grew up in a disciplined, hard-working, middle-class home. His childhood wasn't filled with chaos or headlines. Instead, it quietly shaped a thoughtful, creative young man. At North Syracuse Central High School, he stood out in many ways. Gere played piano, guitar, bass, and trumpet, wrote music for school productions, and stayed active in student council. He also excelled in lacrosse and gymnastics, earning a college sports scholarship. In 1967, Gere enrolled at the University of Massachusetts Amherst to study philosophy. 2 years later, he left college to chase a different future, first through music, then by fully committing to theater and acting. It was a decision that went against what his family expected, but it matched the way Richard Gere wanted to live. He refused to follow someone else's plan and chose his own direction instead. That mix of deep thinking, athletic discipline, and love for music gave him something different from many young actors, helping him bring real depth to every performance. In 1973, Richard Gere left college behind and stepped fully into acting. He landed the lead role in the London production of the hit musical Grease. Playing Danny Zuko introduced him to West End audiences and proved he could sing, act, and completely own the stage. His years of playing instruments and writing music gave him an extra edge that stood out. Over the next few years, Gere kept sharpening his skills in productions like The Taming of the Shrew, where he tackled Shakespeare, and Bent, a bold play centered on the experiences of 2 men in a concentration camp. Even early in his career, he wasn't afraid to take challenging roles that many actors would have avoided. His first notable movie role came in 1977 with Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Even with limited screen time, directors noticed his rugged, mysterious, and magnetic presence. Just 1 year later, he landed the lead in Terrence Malick's Days of Heaven, a film celebrated for its breathtaking visuals and quiet storytelling. Gere spoke very little, but his expression said everything. His biggest breakthrough came in 1980 with American Gigolo. The film sparked plenty of conversation and launched him toward worldwide fame. As Julian Kaye, he played a confident yet emotionally layered man, helping redefine the Hollywood leading man of the early 1980s as charming, mysterious, and quietly troubled. By blending stage discipline with natural screen presence, Richard Gere built his career without relying on flashy performances. Sometimes, one look was enough to leave a lasting impression. Then, just 2 years later, An Officer and a Gentleman turned a rising star into a true Hollywood legend. The role of Officer Zach Mayo gave Richard Gere the chance to show just how much emotion he could bring to the screen. His character was tough, wounded, and stubborn, but willing to change for love and honor. The unforgettable moment when he carries Deborah Winger out of the factory, as everyone watches in amazement, became one of the most famous scenes in movie history. The film was a huge box office hit and won 2 Academy Awards, making Gere one of Hollywood's biggest stars. But an even bigger moment arrived when he teamed up with Julia Roberts. Pretty Woman, the story of a wealthy businessman and a lively woman he meets by chance, could have gone in a very different direction without the incredible chemistry between its 2 stars. Gere never forced the charm. He stayed calm, let the quiet moments speak, and gave Julia Roberts room to shine. Audiences loved it. The movie earned more than $460 million worldwide, turned Julia into one of Hollywood's brightest stars, and cemented Richard Gere as one of the most popular romantic leading men of his generation. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Gere kept building an impressive career. Runaway Bride reunited him with Julia Roberts, while Chicago earned him a Golden Globe and helped the film win the Academy Award for Best Picture. Shall We Dance revealed a warmer, more relatable side of him, and Arbitrage showcased his ability to play a successful businessman wrestling with difficult personal choices. Richard Gere never depended on flashy action movies or visual effects to stay relevant. Instead, he let his career grow naturally with time. For more than 3 decades, he remained one of Hollywood's most respected and recognizable actors. Every new role showed a wiser, calmer, and even more compelling version of himself. What truly drew people to Richard Gere wasn't just his appearance. It was the experience, confidence, and quiet emotion behind every smile. Fame arrived early, and millions admired him, making him one of Hollywood's most desired leading men. But that image also brought constant attention to his private life. While he often played the perfect romantic partner on screen, his real life was far more private and difficult to understand. His first long-term relationship began in 1971 with actress Penelope Milford. They spent 7 quiet years together in New York, supporting each other through career struggles before eventually going their separate ways as Gere's fame continued to grow. Among the names linked to Richard Gere was actress Tuesday Weld, who reportedly once told him, "Fame will swallow your emotions." Later, there were rumors connecting him to Nicaraguan actress Barbara Carrera, around the time American Gigolo made him Hollywood's newest leading man. None of those relationships were ever confirmed, but during that era, almost any woman seen beside Gere quickly became the subject of headlines. The longest and most meaningful relationship from those years was with Brazilian painter Sylvia Martins. They were together from 1978 to 1986. During the same period, Gere's career soared. As his fame grew, he also became more focused on finding a sense of purpose beyond being seen as a Hollywood heartthrob. Sylvia was more than a romantic partner. She shared his growing interest in spirituality, traveled with him to Tibet, joined him on meditation retreats, and stood beside him during moments of deep reflection. Gere often found himself asking, "Who am I?" without the spotlight. As he explored that path, he quietly moved away from earlier relationships without public drama or bitter headlines. Their relationship never became tabloid entertainment, but it left a lasting impact on his life. Then another famous name entered the picture, Barbra Streisand. Reports linking the two appeared in the early 1980s, when Gere's popularity was exploding, and Streisand was already one of Hollywood's most celebrated stars, with major awards and enormous influence throughout the entertainment industry. One was experiencing the biggest rise of his career, while the other had spent years at the top. The media described the rumored pairing as a meeting of 2 Hollywood powerhouses. Much of the attention centered on reports that Streisand had made the first move. Neither publicly confirmed the rumors, and their silence only kept people guessing. The two were said to admire different qualities in each other, but their lifestyles appeared to move in different directions. Gere seemed drawn to privacy and self-discovery, while Streisand thrived in a highly public career. If the reports were accurate, those differences may have made a lasting relationship difficult. After that chapter ended, People continued to wonder what Richard Gere was truly searching for. Was he looking for a quieter kind of love, one built on understanding instead of fame? More rumored relationships followed, including reports linking him to Priscilla Presley after the two were seen together in Los Angeles. Other names were also linked to Richard Gere over the years, including Lori Rodkin, Kim Basinger, Tina Chow, Dalila Di Lazzaro, and Laura Bailey. Most of these reports were never confirmed and reflected a period when Gere didn't seem interested in settling down. Whether true or not, they added to the mystery surrounding one of Hollywood's biggest stars. After years of brief romances and constant media speculation, Gere entered what became his most serious relationship at the time with supermodel Cindy Crawford, who was 17 years younger. Their romance quickly became one of the most talked-about celebrity relationships of the 1990s. When Richard Gere met Cindy Crawford in 1988 at a backyard gathering hosted by photographer Herb Ritts, few could have predicted what would happen next. Gere was already a major movie star, while Crawford was becoming one of the world's most recognizable supermodels. 3 years later, they married in a quiet Las Vegas ceremony with simple aluminum foil wedding rings instead of an extravagant Hollywood celebration. From 1991 to 1995, they appeared together at major events and were often seen as the perfect celebrity couple. Their appearance at the 1991 Academy Awards became one of the decade's most memorable red carpet moments. But behind the glamorous photos, rumors continued to spread about their marriage and personal lives. In 1994, hoping to respond to the constant speculation, the couple purchased a full-page newspaper advertisement. It read, "We are heterosexual, monogamous, and deeply committed to each other. We are not, and never have been, planning to divorce. We are happy and looking forward to building a family." They also highlighted causes they supported together, including human rights, AIDS research, and LGBTQ+ rights, ending with the message, "Be honest, responsible, and kind." Even so, public statements couldn't solve every challenge. In a 1994 interview with Vanity Fair, Crawford shared that Gere suggested publishing the ad because he didn't want false stories to define them. She also reflected on her own identity, asking herself, "Who am I in this relationship? I've changed so much to become the woman he needs, but am I still myself?" Years later, Gere looked back with honesty, saying, "I loved someone who didn't yet know who she was, and I hoped love would help her settle." That was an unfair expectation. Their marriage ended in 1995 without a public feud or legal drama. Crawford focused on rediscovering herself, while Gere continued carrying the pressures that came with life in the spotlight. Years later, Cindy Crawford reflected on that chapter during Oprah's Masterclass in 2013, saying, "At 22, I was still figuring myself out. But doing that in a marriage next to a man who was already fully formed was incredibly hard." After their divorce, both quietly moved forward. Gere focused on a more peaceful life, while Crawford later married businessman Rand Gerber and started a family. Even today, many people still remember Richard Gere and Cindy Crawford walking hand in hand on the 1991 Academy Awards red carpet. That image has become one of Hollywood's most unforgettable moments. Not long after that marriage ended, Richard Gere found love again with Carey Lowell. The former model, actress, Bond film performer, and Law and Order star entered his life in 1995. Unlike many of his earlier relationships, this one grew away from constant headlines and was built on quiet companionship. After the birth of their son, Homer James Jigme Gere, the couple married in 2002. Together, they settled on a peaceful farm where Gere enjoyed growing organic vegetables, reading Buddhist teachings, and choosing acting roles that matched his personal values. To many observers, it looked like he had finally found the calm life he had been searching for. But even peaceful lives can face difficult challenges. Carey enjoyed an active social life and close personal connections, while Gere spent more and more time focused on meditation and spiritual practice. their priorities gradually moved in different directions. There were no major public scandals or dramatic accusations, just two people whose lives slowly stopped moving along the same path. In 2013, after 18 years together, they separated. The news surprised many, but what attracted even more attention was the lengthy legal process that followed, involving the division of a fortune reportedly worth around $100 million. During that period, the usually reserved Gere was occasionally photographed, looking tense outside court, including one widely shared moment in which he pointed a black umbrella toward a photographer, a striking contrast to the calm public image he had carried for so many years. The long legal process took a visible toll on Richard Gere. The calm expression people had known for years seemed harder to maintain. Carrie Lowell remained in their Bedford home, reportedly to provide stability for their son, while the two quietly worked through difficult questions about their future. Friends described the split as painful but respectful, with emotions running deep, even without public arguments. One friend reportedly summed it up by saying, "No one betrayed anyone. They just stopped understanding each other, even while living under the same roof." Eventually, they reached a private settlement. While early media reports speculated about large financial demands, the divorce was ultimately resolved without a public battle, ending as quietly as the relationship had begun. After the end of his long marriage, Gere became even more protective of his private life. In 2014, reports linked him to television host Padma Lakshmi, who was also moving forward after her own divorce. Their relationship stayed almost entirely out of the spotlight. There were few public appearances and almost no comments from either of them, as both seemed determined to keep their personal lives private. About 6 months later, reports indicated they had gone their separate ways. The separation was described as peaceful, with different lifestyles and priorities believed to have played a role. Around that same period, Richard Gere reconnected with Alejandra Silva at her family's hotel in Positano, Italy. They had first met years earlier through mutual family friends. Alejandra had recently gone through a divorce and was raising her son, while Gere was also rebuilding his life after his own marriage had ended. According to published reports, Richard began sending her flowers and handwritten letters expressing that he hoped to build a future together. Rather than rushing the relationship, he gave it time to grow naturally. The couple faced a three-year age difference, and Alejandra reportedly needed time before making such a big decision. Even while living on different continents, they made an effort to see each other regularly. She eventually moved to New York, where they built a life together. During that time, they were neighbors with Martha Stewart, who once gifted the family a caramel cake that Gere later asked about after seeing it featured on television. In April 2018, Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva held a private Buddhist ceremony at his estate in Pound Ridge, New York, with Tibetan monks in attendance. A month later, they celebrated with a small wedding gathering. Alejandra wore 2 custom-designed dresses, beginning a new chapter not simply as the wife of a famous actor, but as an independent woman starting a new life beside him. Their blended family includes Alejandra Silva's son, Albert, from her previous marriage, along with Richard and Alejandra's 2 sons, Alexander, born in 2019, and James, born in 2020. Richard's older son, Homer, from his previous marriage, is also an important part of the family. Together, they have built a close-knit life away from constant Hollywood attention. Alejandra has never focused on the entertainment world. Instead, she leads the Rise Fundación, a nonprofit organization that works to help people experiencing homelessness in Spain. In 2015, she shared that she had spent a night sleeping on the streets to better understand their struggles, saying, "If I do something, I give it everything. If I can't, I won't do it at all." Her commitment to helping others has become one of the defining parts of her life. Raised in an upper-class family in Madrid and educated at prestigious private schools, Alejandra had a very different background from Richard. Yet what brought them together wasn't fame, it was compassion, shared values, and a genuine commitment to family and humanitarian work. Together, they have supported many charitable causes, including a 2017 benefit screening of The Dinner. Alejandra has often said that Richard's kindness is what she admires most. In 2024, Alejandra joined Richard and his son, Homer, at the Cannes Film Festival for the premiere of O, Canada. Later that year in Venice, Richard was photographed bowing respectfully to his wife, a small moment that attracted widespread attention. For Richard's 75th birthday, Alejandra wrote, "After 11 years together, it still feels like day one. The life we've built, the memories we've shared, it's more than I ever imagined." She later celebrated him again with the message, "Happy Father's Day to the father of the world." In an interview with El España in early 2025, Richard simply said, "We are happier than ever. My wife is someone who lives with deep gratitude. They have chosen a quieter life built on respect, patience, and shared purpose rather than the constant spotlight." But while his personal life found greater peace, his career included moments that sparked major public attention. One of the biggest came during the 1993 Academy Awards. Richard Gere had never been afraid to speak his mind. While presenting the Oscar for Best Art Direction, he departed from the prepared script to express concerns about human rights in China, including the situation in Tibet, creating one of the ceremony's most talked-about moments. During the 1993 Academy Awards, Richard Gere departed from the prepared script and said, "I send love, truth, and a little sanity to Deng Xiaoping. Would you consider withdrawing all your troops from Tibet and letting those people live freely?" The unexpected remarks stunned the audience watching around the world, and the room reportedly fell silent. In the years that followed, Gere was absent from the Oscars for a long period. Many reports linked that absence to his public comments. In a later interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he reflected on the impact, saying, "I used to have movies released globally. Then suddenly, no major studio wanted to work with me anymore. No one said it outright, but everyone knew why." At the time, Hollywood studios were placing increasing importance on the Chinese market, where criticism of the government faced heavy restrictions. According to Gere, the situation affected not only him, but also the distribution of some projects he appeared in. Whether intentional or not, his mainstream career gradually slowed as those challenges grew. Years later, the incident was referenced again during the 2025 Academy Awards, when host Conan O'Brien made a lighthearted joke in Mandarin during the broadcast, saying, "I'm drowning in debt. Please consider casting me in one of your many movies." The moment reminded viewers of the controversy that had followed Gere for decades. Looking back, Gere once told HuffPost, "It seems that if you stay long enough, they forget they ever banned you." Even today, people continue to debate whether one public statement can permanently change an actor's career. Gere, however, has continued to support the beliefs he has spoken about for many years. Another major controversy followed in 2007. While attending an HIV/AIDS awareness event in New Delhi, India, Gere warmly embraced actress Shilpa Shetty on stage and kissed her on the cheek several times as a friendly gesture. What seemed routine to him quickly sparked a wave of public debate. Some nationalist and conservative groups strongly criticized the moment, arguing that it was disrespectful and inappropriate in that setting. Demonstrations followed in several places, with images of Gere being burned and posters damaged. The controversy also led to legal complaints, and a court issued an arrest warrant related to public obscenity charges, bringing even more international attention to the incident. The controversy didn't affect only Richard Gere. Actress Shilpa Shetty also faced legal proceedings connected to the incident. In 2008, India's Supreme Court dismissed the case against Gere, finding no basis for the charges. Years later, in 2022, legal proceedings involving Shetty were also brought to a close. Looking back, Gere said, "I kissed her on the cheek. In the US, that's a polite gesture. In India, I learned a different lesson." As Hollywood opportunities became less frequent, Gere didn't launch public campaigns or attack his critics. Instead, he quietly stepped away from the spotlight. He spent more time meditating, hiking, and enjoying a peaceful life in Pound Ridge, New York, choosing reflection over constant public attention. During one of his rare public appearances, Gere shared, "If you stay quiet long enough, you'll hear what you need to hear." Rather than chasing major studio productions, he turned toward independent films. In Time Out of Mind, 2014, he portrayed a man experiencing homelessness and living on the margins of society, a role many felt reflected the quieter chapter of his own career. These projects weren't blockbuster hits, but they gave him the freedom to take meaningful roles without commercial pressure. Away from the cameras, he remained deeply involved in humanitarian work. Gere continued supporting human rights organizations, medical relief efforts in Africa, and programs that assist Tibetan communities, causes he had backed for many years. He rarely sought recognition for those efforts. There were no flashy announcements or campaigns promoting his generosity. Instead, he once explained that his work helped keep myself from being consumed by meaninglessness. As the years passed, he embraced a simpler lifestyle, built around healthy eating, meditation, and mindfulness, focusing less on fame and more on living with purpose. Gere also made his feelings about Hollywood clear, saying, "I don't care about returning to Hollywood. I care about how much wakeful time I have left in this life." His career may have changed direction, but he never stopped acting, growing, or contributing in ways that mattered to him. Rather than disappearing, he simply chose a different path. Richard Gere's legacy reaches far beyond his films. He showed that a leading man could evolve without giving up his principles. In an industry often driven by constant attention and bigger spectacles, Gere chose a quieter life, accepted fewer roles, and continued speaking openly about the causes he believed deserved attention. Throughout his career, Richard Gere represented a different style of leading man. He didn't depend on physical strength or loud performances. Instead, he drew audiences in with quiet confidence, thoughtful expressions, and characters facing difficult moral choices. Films like Days of Heaven, American Gigolo, An Officer and a Gentleman, Pretty Woman, and Chicago helped redefine what a Hollywood leading man could be. His characters were often charming yet vulnerable, confident without being overpowering, and strong enough to show compassion. His influence also reached far beyond the movie screen. As one of the first major American celebrities to publicly support Tibet, Gere faced professional challenges, including years of controversy surrounding his relationship with Hollywood. Even so, he continued following his convictions. Since 1999, the Richard Gere Foundation has supported hundreds of charitable organizations across Asia, Africa, and the United States, focusing on human rights, mental health, HIV, AIDS, and homelessness. Rather than seeking attention, Gere has consistently focused on practical humanitarian work. Within Buddhist communities, he is respected not simply for his public profile, but for his long-term spiritual practice. To many fans, Richard Gere remains the image of a thoughtful artist who has continued to grow throughout his life. His influence comes not from chasing fame, but from staying true to his values, even when doing so came with personal and professional challenges. After moving with his family to Madrid in late 2024, Gere has embraced the quieter lifestyle he spent years searching for. In an interview with El País Semanal, he shared that his wife, Alejandra Silva, is happy to be closer to her family in Spain. Their sons, Alexander and James, are growing up bilingual, attending local schools, and taking part in community programs such as Hogar C and Open Arms. In May 2025, Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva shared a rare family photo on social media while wearing Open Arms sweatshirts to help raise awareness for migrants and people needing medical care across Europe. Earlier that year, Gere also appeared with his son, Homer, at the City Harvest Gala in New York, an event that helped provide more than 8.5 million meals for people in need. Gere told people, "I'm always happy when I'm with my son, and being here tonight is something I'm proud of." The couple also launched a new website for the Gere Foundation, bringing together the humanitarian causes they support, from refugee assistance and homelessness prevention to peace-building efforts. In a joint statement, they shared, "We are here to care for what hurts and for what's been forgotten." Later in 2025, during the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday celebration in Dharamsala, Gere once again expressed his lifelong support for preserving Tibetan culture and encouraging future generations to carry that legacy forward. Richard Gere's story isn't just about Hollywood success. It's about choosing purpose over popularity, staying true to personal values, and continuing to grow through every stage of life. That's the legacy that has made him unforgettable. What was your favorite Richard Gere movie? Or which role has stayed with you the most over the years? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with friends who love classic Hollywood stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.